Playoffs is here. Time to go hard or go home. Let's talk about who's going to win these series.
DreAllDay.com.
What's up, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Y'all already know if you watch this channel, I'm sure you watch basketball. You know the NBA playoffs are upon us. And of course, I'm going to make a video telling you who I think is going to win each series in the first round. I'm not going to predict out the whole playoffs. I'm going to go just each first round series. Maybe I'll do it in the second round. I'm definitely going to do it in the finals, but we're going to see who's going to win the first round series. Now, it's not lost on me. I'm going to start the video off and point out that, yes, I have on a Miami Heat hat. I'm not wearing a hat because I'm a fan of the Heat. I'm wearing a hat because I like the hat. So it ain't got nothing to do with the Miami Heat. They didn't make the playoffs. Ain't nothing to say about that. We're here to talk about the teams that did make the playoffs. We just going to go round by round. I'm going to tell you my analysis of the series and who I think is going to win. This ain't going to be no super in-depth thing. I ain't no NBA analyst, but I watch basketball just like y'all do, so I'm going to give my opinion, tell you who I think is going to win. And I guess I'll guess how many games these teams going to win, so all y'all can point out whatever I get wrong. Of course, a month from now, you can leave a comment and say, oh, you got this one wrong. I know that's what happens here. So let's just get right into it. The first series, we're going to start in the East. The Atlanta Hawks, #1 seed against the Brooklyn Nets, the #8 seed. Now, Atlanta, I definitely know, is a better team than the Brooklyn Nets. Atlanta, did they sweep the series? They swept the season series 4-0 against Brooklyn, but Atlanta has some injuries. They lost. Cephalosha broke his leg with that situation in New York with the cops. Who knows what the hell happened there. Paul Millsap, who I think is probably the best player on the Hawks. I mean, him and Al Horford, he's their best all-around player, Paul Millsap. He hurt his shoulder, so he's missed a bunch of games. And who knows if he's 100% even when and if he does come back. He's going to come back, but who knows if he's 100%. But even with that, they still going to beat the Nets. The Nets are trash. I don't think the Nets are a very good basketball team. I mean, they pulled it together at the end of the regular season to get some W's. I like Jarrett Jack. Jarrett Jack's a player that I like. Darren Williams, of course, is super talented. I don't know what happened to Darren Williams. I mean, he just fell off the damn wagon. It used to be people wasn't sure who was better between him and Chris Paul. Y'all remember that? What happened to Darren Williams since then? I have no idea. So overall in that series, and also Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez has come on really strong. He started actually grabbing rebounds all of a sudden. I have no idea why. He was in the league for how many years and he never grabbed any rebounds, and all of a sudden for 3 weeks he decided to grab rebounds, even though he's 7 feet tall, and he has been the whole time. I don't know what that was about or what it is about, but he ain't better than Al Horford. And I think the Hawks, as good as they've been this season with home court advantage, they're not going to lose this series to Brooklyn. I'm going to say the Atlanta Hawks pull it together. They come in there ready to play with their coach, Budenholzer. He's really going to have them primed up and ready to go. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Atlanta wins this series 4-1. I'm thinking 4-2. I'm thinking maybe it goes 6, but I'm going to put my faith in the Hawks that they actually ready to play after their regular season the way they were at Dynamite this season, and that they win this series in 5 games. So Hawks in 5 over Brooklyn. Next series, Cleveland Cavaliers against the Boston Celtics. And the Boston Celtics have been playing lights out. Not lights out, that's the stretch. They've been playing very well over the last couple of months. Brad Stevens has proven to be an excellent coach. He's gotten guys who haven't even been that great in other teams to actually be playing real well, like Evan Turner's one guy. Isaiah Thomas, who's bounced around. Well, not really bounced around. He was in Sacramento. They didn't re-sign him. Why? I don't know. Who was their point guard this year? They let Isaiah go for no reason. He went to Phoenix where they had 3 point guards, which was a mistake from the beginning. So then they traded him to Boston. He got to Boston. He's been 6th man. He's been the best, one of the best 6 men in the league. I think he should win the 6th man of the year award. We'll see if he does, but who cares? Who cares about an award? Let's talk about the black and white, which is winning and losing basketball games. I think Isaiah is a guy he's a guy you can build around on a team that's going to actually compete. As you can see in Boston, he's been that guy. He helps get open shots for teammates. He can score. He's one of those guys in a series. He's never played in the playoffs, but I see him as a guy in a playoff series. He's going to have one game where he gets like 30 points and pulls a victory out of his behind for his team. I think he could possibly do that against Cleveland, but I mean, LeBron James and the Cavs machine right now, they're healthy. At least their top guys are healthy. We talking Mozgov. Kevin Love's been kind of banged up with his back issues all year, so he can't really move and jump the way he wants to. And he's been marginalized on that team. Kyrie Irving is healthy for all I know, and of course, Mr. LeBron James. As much as I love Boston, I'm going to have to go with the sweep. Because I've seen LeBron. We know what LeBron does in Boston. We ain't even got to talk about Game 6 and what year was that? 2012, what he did to Garnett and Pierce and them. LeBron gets primed up when he plays in Boston. And this is Boston's first time back in the playoffs since that era of the Pierce, Ray, Garnett era, Doc Rivers, Rondo era. I think LeBron's going to be ready to go. The Boston fans going to be on him, which is actually going to make him play better. I'm going with Cavaliers in 4. They are going to sweep the Boston Celtics in the first round. Next series, Chicago Bulls against the Milwaukee Bucks. It's hard for me to point out with the Milwaukee Bucks. I didn't watch them at all this year. I know Jason Kidd has proven to be actually a competent coach because we wasn't sure what he could do last year. At least I wasn't sure when he was over in Brooklyn, but he's proven that he can actually coach this year. They made a trade where they got rid of Brandon Knight and got back Michael Carter-Williams. I'm not sure that was a good trade, but I think it was more a money thing than it was a skill thing for them to do that trade. They do have a guy like the Greek Freak. That dude is crazy. I don't know. There's no telling. There's no ceiling on him right now as far as his potential. He's great. They have Middleton as another guy who's proven to be really good, even though he doesn't get a whole lot of attention from the casual fans. But on the other side, the Chicago Bulls, I can't even pinpoint exactly what we should expect to get from the Bulls. They had so many injuries this year. Like Joakim Noah missed a lot of games. Then Taj Gibson was out. Powell has been great this season, but even though his stats have been great, he hasn't really been that much of a needle mover on that team. They've been just as good with him as they were without him on and off the court. I'm talking about plus-minus numbers if you look at the actual statistics. And Derrick Rose missed a whole lot of games, and Jimmy Butler missed a whole lot of games. Then Nikola. I was watching the Bulls game, and the announcer did that when he made it 3. That made me laugh. So Nikola Mirotic, he started getting playing time, and he's been playing really great when he got time on the court. So they have a hell of a team, but it's been so they haven't had much time where everybody was there and together and playing at the same time. McDermott, he played a little bit. He's not going to be much of a factor, I don't think, in the playoffs unless somebody gets injured. With everybody healthy and Derrick Rose doing his thing, there's no way that who are the Bucks point guards? Michael Carter-Williams ain't got nothing for Derrick Rose. That matchup alone means the Bucks not going to win this series because the Bucks don't have anybody who can contain Derrick Rose even at 85% of prime Derrick Rose, like MVP Derrick Rose, 85% of that, which is pretty much what he is now. Still, nobody on the Bucks can mess with that. And then you still got Pau Gasol, you got Joakim Noah, you got Mirotic, you got Jimmy Butler. I say those 4 guys that I just named is probably better than everybody on the Bucks, except maybe Greek Freak. And Greek Freak's young and raw. He hasn't been in the playoffs before, so he's not going to take over and destroy those guys. He's going to have some of his moments. Maybe he could pull out one game. I don't think so this year. Maybe next year he can start pulling out whole series. Who knows? But I'm going to go in this series. Also with Thibodeau coaching against Jason Kidd. This series, the Bucks at home, I'm going to say 5. Chicago in 5. Chicago eliminates the Milwaukee Bucks. They won the series 3-1, so that's pretty close to what it is. Chicago wins this series 4-1. The last series in the Eastern Conference would be the Toronto Raptors against the Washington Wizards. Now, this series actually kind of disappoints me that this series is even happening in the first round because the Raptors and the Wizards both jumped out at the beginning of the season looking great, and I was looking around like, damn, the Wizards and the Raptors both playing great. They might be the top 2 seeds in the Eastern Conference, and the Raptors are really playing excellent lights-out basketball. So they had some injuries, like DeRozan missed a bunch of games, and Kyle Lowry missed a bunch of games, and they went through a little bit of a slump. But they bounced back enough. I mean, they won 49 games to end up as the 4th seed, and the Wizards, they went through a really bad slump, and I can pretty much guarantee you, no matter what happens this year, unless they win the championship, that the Wizards are going to fire their coach, Randy Whitman, at the end of the season. Whatever day the Wizards get eliminated from the playoffs, whenever that happens, he's going to get fired the very next day. That's going to be on SportsCenter. You can mark that down right now because the players are just not responding to him anymore. But I like the Wizards team. John Wall is one of my favorite point guards to watch. Beal is a perfect match for him, and Wall throws him. He sets his teammates up with great passes, John Wall. He's also a great defender, which people don't pay as much attention to as offense naturally. Paul Pierce has been a great steadying influence. They needed somebody like him. I think if they had Paul Pierce on the team last year, they would have beat the Pacers in the second round. They would have played the Heat in the playoffs last year, if y'all remember that series, because the Pacers were ready to implode, but the Wizards just didn't have that steadying influence, and Paul Pierce has been that. Otto Porter's shown some flashes when he's had a chance to play. Russell Butler was looking great for a minute in the season, then he kind of faded away. So maybe if they need him, he'll step up and play. As far as the coaching matchup, I think the Raptors have the advantage. They also have the home court. This is a tough one. I mean, Kyle Lowry against John Wall, those are our two starting point guards in the backcourt for the East, right? In the All-Star game, this is going to be a tough series. With the Raptors having home court, I say this one goes 7. I say this is going to be a 7-game series. It's going to come down to Game 7 in Toronto. And in Game 7 in Toronto, with the coaching matchup that I'm looking at, the veterans, I'm going to follow my head here. I'm going to follow my brain. I'm going to say the Washington Wizards win Game 7 in Toronto and eliminate the Raptors. Raptors fans, I just got to say it how I feel. I think that the Wizards are going to win this series. Now, if the Raptors win it, I would not be surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised if the Raptors win this in 6 if the Wizards start to implode. But I think their veteran leadership, i.e. Paul Pierce, is going to help push them forward. Because remember, Paul Pierce was on Brooklyn last year, and they beat the Raptors in the first round. So I think Paul Pierce's influence alone, even though he's old now, he's 37, he's playing his lowest minutes ever in his career. He's been there, though. He's won a championship. He's been there. He knows what it takes more than anybody on the Raptors and anybody on the Wizards. I think his influence alone is going to help the Wizards pull this series out in 7. But that's the one I'm least sure of, that one out of all of them. But I think that's going to be the best series in the first round in the East. Western Conference, oh boy. First, we got the Golden State Warriors against New Orleans Pelicans. First of all, we should mention Russell Westbrook. The dude was absolutely lights out for the last 2 months of the season. I mean, he was just putting on a show. Like, that was like 80s Michael Jordan stuff he was doing for the last 2 months of the season. Any of y'all who follow, I wasn't even watching Jordan in the 80s. I'm not that old. But if you look at his stats back from 88 and see the type of numbers he was putting up then, and look at the numbers Westbrook was putting up, is in a similar vein. It's the closest I've seen, maybe, I mean, except for somebody like LeBron. Even LeBron wasn't putting up triple-doubles the way Westbrook was. He was just playing all out. Great show that he put on. But they missed the playoffs. So let's talk about the teams that made it. The New Orleans Pelicans, they had to play the Spurs at home, and the Spurs had something to play for. It was in New Orleans. The Spurs had a reason to win because they would have got the number 2 seed. And the Pelicans showed up. I mean, they showed up and played the brow. Anthony Davis showed up with 31, and he had a double-double. I forget what his other stats was. And they put it on the Spurs and showed that they can actually win when it counts. So now they're going to play the Golden State Warriors in the first round. Is it completely ridiculous to think that the Pelicans might have a chance to win this series? I mean, think about that. Yes, that's ridiculous. The Pelicans are not going to win this series. The Golden State Warriors, they won 67 games. I mean, they pretty much ran away with the league. The next closest team was the Hawks with 60 wins. The Golden State Warriors, I mean, Stephen Curry is probably going to win MVP because of his team's performance in addition to his effect on the team and the league in general this year. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr being a great coach, and that ridiculous home court advantage that Golden State has. I think the Pelicans, with Anthony Davis is one of the top 5 basketball players alive right now. And for that alone, they're going to win at least 1 game. When you got one of the top 5 players alive, you're not going to lose 4 games straight to the same team. So they're going to win at least 1 game just because they got Anthony Davis. I think the presence of Drew Holiday guarding Stephen Curry, because Drew Holiday is a very good defender, much better than Tyreke Evans at the point guard. I think that factor could help them possibly win a 2nd game, but I'm not going to stretch it that far because the Warriors are pretty damn good. I say Golden State wins this series in 5. The 5th game will be in Golden State. The Pelicans ain't winning no games in Golden State. Golden State Warriors in 5 over New Orleans Pelicans. Next series, Houston Rockets against the Dallas Mavericks. Now this series, Dallas, they won 50 games this year. Houston won 56, so it's not that huge of a difference, but a couple things here. Number one, Dirk Nowitzki, he ain't the same Dirk as he always has been. I mean, he's older, of course. He don't play as many minutes. He's sitting down games for rest nowadays. A lot of players do that now. One thing that people might have forgotten about last year, Chandler Parsons left Houston and went to Dallas, and James Harden said, well, Chandler Parsons is unfortunate that we lost him, but he's not a franchise player. The franchise players are me and Dwight Howard. And Chandler Parsons kind of took that personally, so now this is Chandler's attempt to, get revenge on James Harden and the Houston Rockets for not offering him the money that he got from the Dallas Mavericks. Would they give him like a max $15 million a year? I'm not sure I would have gave him that. I think he was perfect on Houston. I don't know if he's worth $15 million anywhere else, but who cares? That doesn't even matter. James Harden has been the man this year. Had it not been for the Warriors winning so many games, he would be MVP. They're 11 games behind the Warriors, so I don't think he gets MVP just off that alone. James Harden is going to destroy the Dallas Mavericks in this series. Who do they have to guard him? Chandler Parsons is not going to be able to guard James Harden. Monte Ellis, forget about it. Who else does Dallas have? Rajon Rondo? No. Then you got Dwight in the paint. Terrence Jones is healthy right now. I got to go with Houston. Definitely going to win this series, but I don't see Houston as a team that's like lights out killers. So they're going to blow some games here, at least one game. They're not going to stomp on Dallas the way that I would think that they should. And in the coaching matchup, I really think that Dallas has the advantage. So I'm going to go 6 games here. Houston wins this in 6, 4-2 over the Dallas Mavericks. James Harden scores at least 45 points twice in this series. But Houston wins that 4-2. Next series. Actually, we're going to say the 3 versus 6 matchup for last. I got to talk about that one last. Let's go to the 4 versus 5. It's the Portland Trail Blazers against the Memphis Grizzlies. This is going to be a really good series. Portland with 51 victories, Memphis with 55, but Portland gets home court because they won the division. NBA needs to do away with divisions. Nobody cares about divisions. But anyway, Portland, since they won their division, they get home court. Memphis is a better team than the Portland Trail Blazers. But Portland has a very strong home court advantage. I mean, they put out Houston last year without home court advantage. Damian Lillard, of course, with the buzzer beater shot. A lot of respect for what LaMarcus Aldridge did when he was supposed to sit out like a month or 2 months or something because he had that hand injury, his thumb or whatever that was. But he said, no, I'm playing anyway. He came back the next game and had like 25 points and double-figure rebounds. He stepped up as a leader for his team. That was a leadership move, and it galvanized the whole team because everybody saw, like, all right, here's this dude. He's an all-star. He's the highest-paid player on the team. And he just said, I'm not worried about my injury. I'm going to step up and play because we got a chance to do something good this year. And that makes everybody else fall in line and follow. So he stepped up and showed a lot of leadership with that. Now, on the Memphis side, they still got the same team they've had for the last, 4 years. You got Conley, you got Tony Allen, you got Marc Gasol, Zebo. They had their coach is Yoger, I think. And Vince Carter has been a good guy, either off the bench or starting. Courtney Lee, another good wing guy with Tony Allen. So I like the Grizzlies' rotation. Now, Mike Conley Jr. has been injured. He's been dealing with some injuries, some nagging situations, so I don't know how healthy he is. His health will be a factor in this series because they need him to go up against and counterbalance against Damian Lillard in Portland. This series right here is a 7-gamer. This is a 7-game series. It goes to Game 7 in Portland, and I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies to go on the road and win Game 7 in Portland behind Big Spain and Zebo. Zebo playing in his old stomping grounds, Portland. I wonder if the fans in Portland boo Zach Randolph still. But anyway, I think that the Grizzlies are going to win this series in 7 games. I wouldn't be surprised if they could steal one in Portland early in the series and close it out in 6 in Memphis. But Mike Conley needs to be healthy. This is another series along with that 4-5 in the East with the Raptors Wizards that I wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way. So if all you Portland fans out there, if Portland wins this series, I wouldn't be surprised at that. But I say this is a 7-gamer, and this is the one I'm least sure about in the Western Conference. Now to this 3 versus 6. This is the one I'm going to talk about last. The LA Clippers against the San Antonio Spurs. Wow. First round matchup. Clippers won 56 games. The Spurs won 55. The Clippers have home court advantage. The Clippers just hired Doc Rivers. They traded for Doc Rivers' son. The Spurs just came off winning the championship. Now they're the number 6 seed going on the road. Neither of these teams would have an acceptable season if they lost in the first round. But one of them is going to lose in the first round. Spurs lose in the first round. That's a huge disappointment after they won like 11 straight before they lost that last game of the season in New Orleans. And the Clippers, as much as Blake Griffin and Chris Paul have been knocked year after year because people are like, they get all this attention, they making these all-star games, they get all these endorsements, and they never been out the second round of the playoffs. If they were to lose in the first round, oh man, people would just be all over them. So it's not acceptable for the Clippers to lose in the first round, and it's not for the Spurs either. This series is going to be a bloodbath. This is going to be the most entertaining series. I saw that game 1 is at it starts at 10:30 at night on a Sunday, which is absolutely killing me, but I might have to stay up to watch that game because the Clippers against the Spurs, man, Blake Griffin against Duncan, you got Kawhi Leonard, you got Ginobili, Tony Parker, Chris Paul, Doc Rivers against Popovich, the home crowd at the Clippers games, which they actually have somewhat of a home crowd now, a little bit. Man, this is a 7-gamer to me. I see this as a 7-game series, and I should mention, I got to put this out there for those of you who don't know, my father is the biggest San Antonio Spurs fan I know. And he is telling me how the Spurs are going to repeat as champions, how Kawhi Leonard could be an MVP candidate once he gets away from the big 3 that they got, once those guys get cleared out. He thinks the Clippers don't have a chance of winning this series because they never get past the second round. Man, this is a very tough one. I told him I had the Clippers in 6, but I was kind of just ribbing him by saying the Clippers. But I do think the Clippers are going to win this series. I think the Clippers are going to win because Chris Paul has to absolutely be lights out. He got to kill Tony Parker, and I think Chris Paul will kill Tony Parker. Blake Griffin needs to show up, and he needs to grab some damn rebounds. He needs to get double-figure rebounds. DeAndre Jordan, we already know he's going to get his double-figure rebounds. The Clippers don't have a bench. Jamal Crawford can't guard nobody, even though he's going to score some points. Austin Rivers probably shouldn't even be playing in these games, in my opinion. J.J. Redick has been excellent this year. People don't talk about him because all the other stars on his team. If the Clippers got to go deep into their bench, they're in trouble because Big Baby, Spencer Hawes, they shouldn't be playing. Austin Rivers, they shouldn't be getting in games against the Spurs in the playoffs. But they have to because the Clippers ain't got nobody else. Hedo Turkoglu, he can give you 5-10 minutes. Any more than that, he shouldn't be in the game. Clippers starting lineup has to be absolutely lights out. I'm having a tough time with this one. I'm going to go with the LA Clippers Game 7 at home. Clippers in 7 over the defending champion Spurs in the first round. That is my pick. So those are my first round picks. To recap, I got the Hawks in 5, the Cavs in a sweep, the Bulls in 5, the Wizards in 7. I got the Golden State Warriors in 5, Houston Rockets in 6, the Clippers in 7, and the Memphis Grizzlies in 7 in the first round. Let me know what you think. Agree, disagree, and don't come in here telling me I got something wrong or that you got something different after the game starts. You got to put your bid in and tell me what you think before Saturday afternoon, because Saturday afternoon, that's when the game starts. So don't come to me after game 1 talking about you got something different. Come to me before the game start and put your bid in so it can be straight up and fair. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. This video, make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here, and make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day. Work on your game.